I'm Rex Rogosh, and let's queer up gay culture. Pew Studies finds 39% of Americans say being gay is morally wrong, far higher than in Western Europe. A new report from the Pew Research Center finds a troubling share of Americans still believe being gay is morally wrong. The 2025 survey examines attitudes in 25 countries, asking respondents whether behaviors such as abortion, drinking alcohol, and homosexuality were morally acceptable, morally unacceptable, or not a moral issue. In the United States, about 39% of respondents said homosexuality was morally wrong. That rate is significantly higher than several Western European countries. In Sweden, Germany, Spain, and the Netherlands, more than 90% of people said homosexuality is morally acceptable. Comparable levels of disapproval were reported in Israel at 47%, Hungary at 34%, and Greece at 30%. Separate polling by YouGov in February also found U.S. adults divided on whether discrimination against LGBTQ people is a serious problem. The poll showed only 23% of U.S. adults believed LGBT discrimination is a very serious problem. Others found it is a somewhat serious problem, or a minor problem, or no problem at all. The data underscores that while acceptance has grown globally, public opinion on LGBTQ issues in the United States is still deeply divided, even after a decade of marriage equality. You know, some of these polls, and I know Alex is going to go on polls because he loves polls. But exactly.
You're a political science geek, so
I often find that unfortunately the questions are skewed and or aren't understood. Mm-hmm. And I would say, you know, especially when it talks about the, you know, people saying that LGBTQ, what do they say? LGBTQ problems are not a problem. And I think it's because a lot of people don't know that there are still problems. I mean, I still, unfortunately, talk to my parents, and they didn't even know that I couldn't give blood still. Mm. So, like, I think there's a lot of non-information out there. So when they're asking these questions, the people don't know how to answer them properly. So they're probably skewed. I'm not saying that people don't think that, you know, homosexuality isn't moral, and I don't think that people don't think that it's a problem. I just wonder the validity of the people that are polled.
Oh, sure.
I think the second question is more problematic than the first question. The first question about morality, that one is pretty cut and dry. You're either A, you think that being gay is immoral, or B, you think that being gay is not immoral.
But what is your morality based on?
Well, that's a deeper philosophical question.
But that's true.
But where your moral grounding is from speaks a lot about the current demographic of the United States, because out of all Western or advanced country, I'm not going to say Western because some of them, like Japan, they are markedly non-religious.
Correct.
And, you know, they are not bound by that kind of morality that comes with being religiously indoctrinated.
Agreed.
You live in certain states like Oklahoma and Texas, they're now incorporating, you know, Judeo-Christian moral education in public schools where they're not supposed to be because separation of church and state.
Correct.
Well, like, I would think, one, the 39% of Americans think being gay is morally wrong. I was like, so that's insane. Let's just call it. It is insane. We got, like, but also, like, I think about, like, other countries, and I keep being told, like, you know, how we're so much better than other countries. I'm like, you know, Cuba, of all places, they had a whole vote by the people on expanding LGBTQ rights, like, 10 years ago or 15, and, like, with 2/3. They weren't sure if they were going to win the vote, so they delayed and did more education. Mm. But, like, if Cuba was able to figure out winning a vote on gay rights and LGBTQ rights, we can do this, and, like, the LGBTQ movement, we need to do a better job at getting that number down and getting people to vote. Like, we should be able to win elections as queer people in this country. If they can do it in Cuba, we can do it in America, guys. Like, wake up, people.
Well, and again, we don't know who was polled. So it's 39% of Americans polled, not 39%
pretty
of...
good at doing a good random sample, though.
It's
not like Joe Schmo.
Pew is not your fly-by-night consulting company.
I still would disagree with that because, again... Mm-hmm. When how many people A, pay attention to the polls, and B, when, 'cause I'm part of a lot of these little random poll things that you have to be.
You never know who's doing it.
You never know who's doing it. And while they might be a reputable place, again, I really think that some of these questions are skewed. And I do believe what you said is true, Bobby, about being religious. You see the other countries that, have, homosexuality in their, Israel, Hungary, Greece, highly religious countries. I don't know. Polling to me is not an exact science.
I mean, like Hillary Clinton would agree with you, but like one
I'm
thing
sorry.
I'll say, I was taken aback by a majority of Americans think having an affair, or like sex with someone else other than your married spouse, is wrong, and I'm just like, straight people are weird. I don't understand. Well, that's weird. Like, of course, it's like that's a handshake. People just making friends.
But they can't. But they keep electing Ken Paxton, who is notorious for having many affairs. Texas Attorney General.
Yeah.
I thought the current incumbent of the White House has had an affair or two.
Well, or 6 or 10 or 12. But
that's why I question, what is your morality?
Yes. Yes.
What is your morality? Because we're seeing that with our current administration. We have somebody in there who's been indicted on sexual offense and a bazillion other things, but yet he's still the president.
In the files.
He's still the president.
Yeah.
So, well, there's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.